son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I
I'll
don't
give
know.
you the,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but what do you do, you know?
Good morning. It is 10:02 a.m. on Friday, January 9th, 2026. I call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Let's jump right in. Item number 1 is a fidelity presentation offering employees enrollment opportunities. I can either invite Sonia up to introduce our guests or just invite our guests up to make a presentation and introduce themselves. Okay, come on up. And if you would, introduce yourselves for the record, so that we and from the
From the
podium.
podium.
Oh, okay, right this way. Got it.
Sure.
So my name is Brenna Kinsey. This is Jermaine Johnson. We represent an educational company in Fidelity for retirement plans. So the first thing I want to talk about, because I know I've only got 20 or 30 minutes, is that correct?
20 minutes. That's
20
correct.
minutes, okay, I'm gonna keep it down to 20 minutes then, is the importance of education. So what happens is when most people enroll into their retirement plans, not everyone is given the information that they're needed to utilize what they're being given. Okay, because a product's just a product unless you have the education. Fidelity could have the best product, but if you don't know how to utilize it, you're not gonna get the most out of it. You secured benefits nationwide, they could have the best product, but again, if you don't understand what it is and how to utilize it, you're not gonna get the most out of it. So the main thing we focus is the education first, but the product is important also. So that's where we're gonna come into play. But I wanna do a little activity with y'all. So we handed out a book. It's a How Money Works book. This just gets into a little bit more in-depth of some of what we teach, but there is a page on the, like a little worksheet that I'd like y'all to do with me if you don't mind. Because again, if I just sit here and talk, you're less likely to remember and actually learn something. So who in here has had the opportunity to run a compound interest calculator before? Okay, so unfortunately, not very many people even know what that is. And it's how your money grows. Compound interest is how the money that's going into these plans work. So this is kind of where we start the basis of the education. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a rundown really quick of how the compound interest calculator works. And if you'd like to work it with us, you are welcome to pull out your phones, Google compound interest calculator, and do it with me. But if not, we're just going to run through this. And then I'm going to give you a statistic on someone who's a little bit older on why this is important. So let's say you're 20 years old. Now, I know most people in this room are not 20, but understanding how compound interest works first is important, okay? At 20 years old, you decide to start putting away $100 a month into your plan, okay? You're gonna do this for 45 years. So if you do wanna do the calculations, in the first box, you're gonna put, 0. Most people aren't starting with thousands of dollars. We're gonna do $100 a month, so $1,200 is the annual addition, 45 years for growth. And let's just say that you find an account and you start with 2%. What happens is that grows to 88. Okay, so on the first 2%, it's 88. Now what's really cool about this is if you had taken that $100 cash and just put it in like a safe at the house, you would have had $54,000. So the 2% helped your money grow from 54 to 88. You didn't have to do anything.
you're saying in 45 years,
In 45 years,
it
yes sir.
turned to 88?
Yes, sir. Now, you didn't have to do anything for it, you just had to leave it there, your money grew for you, which is great. But 2%, 88 is not gonna be enough to retire on, right? So, let's say you find an account that's gonna allow you to have 4%. So if we double the interest from 2 to 4, what happens is a lot of people think it's gonna be this pretty large growth, but it grows to 151. Most people would think it should at least double because that's what we're taught when we think about basic math. And if you know anything of compound interest, you're like, oh, it's gonna weigh more than double. But it doesn't do that. It goes to 151. Still better than 88, still better than 54, but 151 isn't anything to really write home about either. Here's where the fun starts happening. If we double it again to 8, it grows to 500,000.
Whoa.
Yes, whoa. It's a major jump. And this is where people start asking me, well, what happened? This is where people start getting interested and paying attention. What happened? Why to do that? So I'm gonna relate it to water really quick. If I had a glass of water and I put it in the freezer, it would freeze, right? But it wouldn't immediately. There's two things it takes for water to freeze, and that's temperature and time. Freezing temperature, I hope we all can agree, is 32 degrees or below, right? So if I had a glass of water and I put it in the freezer, it's working like it's supposed to. It's 32 degrees or below. I shut the door and I open it right back up. It didn't have the time to do anything. But what if I have a glass of water and I put it in the freezer? It's in there long enough, but it's at 33 degrees instead of 32. Will it freeze? It can't. It has to hit that 32. That's the magic number. That 1 degree when it comes to water is so significant. It's the difference between having a liquid or a solid. Well, if that's so important, let me ask you, when's the last time you woke up and you said, you know, the only thing I'm gonna do today is find just 2% more for my money? Most people have never. They didn't know they were supposed to. They're putting money into their plans like they're told that they need to, but they have no idea what to do with it. And your money has a magic number. So let's say you sit down and you start educating yourself and you learn to get 2% more. We're not gonna double it like we have been, we add 2%. This is how important that 2% actually is. That 500 goes to 948,000 on the 10%.
Now, do you only have a 45-year number?
So we're gonna run one for a 50-year-old here in a minute. I ran a couple because I
Okay.
knew that most people were not gonna be 20, but I want you to understand why it's important first, and then I'll run something a little more realistic to the average person in the room, okay? So it's $448,000 more just for 2%. Most people aren't gonna take the time to find 2% because they don't realize how important it is, or they don't even know they're supposed to go looking for it. And if we jump from 10 to 12, again, only doing 2%, it's 1,825,000. Okay. So let's say I meet you, you're 20, you decide not to get started and you decide to start when you're 21. It's 1 year, it's only $1,200 that doesn't go in. That 44 years now becomes 1,628,000. It cost $197,000 to wait 1 year of not putting in $100 a month, which means every month since the age of 20, someone doesn't properly invest just $100, they lose over 16 grand in their retirement accounts. We've had the capability with education and the right products to make more off of our money than most people will ever make at their jobs. The problem is this isn't being taught in our curriculum. And most people will never learn this. They'll go their whole lives doing everything they're supposed to, getting the good jobs, getting the benefits, putting money into their retirement plans, but they're not utilizing. So this is where it comes down to the retirement plan. What happens in a normal retirement plan, it's what's called target funds. Does anyone in here know what a target fund is? So it's basically the default. When you put money into a 401k or a 457, 403, what typically happens is you're automatically defaulted into a target plan. These have a guaranteed diminishing rate of return as you get older. So if you're trying to accumulate and save for your future, does a guaranteed less potential sound good for you?
If it's reducing risk as you get older, yes.
Understanding the risk is another thing that we teach though, because all of these are mutual funds, and that's a whole nother ball game. But when you understand how a mutual fund works, then, so let's say this, I'll just break that down really quick. Everyone knows if you have Apple stock, let's say, oh, I'm gonna put my money into Apple stock. You take all of your money and you put it in Apple stock. Apple stock goes broke, what happens?
Lose your investment.
You lose everything, right? A mutual fund, instead of taking all your money and putting it into one, what happens is all the mutual funds typically have 100 or 80 to 100 different companies in them. So every time you put money into that mutual fund, you're splitting it up, which alleviates a little bit of the risk, okay?
And the potential. Possibly.
Not so much. There are possibly, depending on the fund, there are some funds that do not perform as well as others, just like stocks. But there is also what's called a money manager that is looking at that mutual fund all the time, and they're constantly moving the pieces around. They have skin in the game because they get paid off performance. So we alleviated some of the risk by diversifying into several different companies, and there's someone looking at this fund, moving pieces around all the time. So let's say Apple was one of those companies, and Apple was on the verge of going broke. They will have noticed that before and taken it out. So does that sound risky? Does it sound as risky as most people think when they think of putting money into an investment? No, so we've alleviated some of the risk by using mutual funds, and 401ks, retirement plans typically use mutual funds, okay? So yes, so we have good potential and we've alleviated some of the risk. So that's how that works. But I ran a few things on a 50-year-old, okay? So I'm just going to, you can write these numbers right next to where we did these originally if you want, or just write it down off to the side. But let's say you have a 50-year-old who has $100,000 in their plan currently. And let's say based off of a $60,000 annual salary, they're gonna put in about 3%, let's just say $2,000 a year. And they've got 17 years to the age of 65, or 67, okay? The average target plan is going to, over the course of its life, make about 7.5. It's actually 6.7 to 7.3, but we're just gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and say 7.5. That means that individual would have $411,000. If they were on track to do exactly what most of the people who are in these plans are doing right now. Because most of them have not gone in and moved their stuff around. They don't know what to do with it. So they're going to be in a target plan. Let's say we take exactly what you've got going on with Secured and Nationwide. Okay? We don't move it. We don't move it to Fidelity. We don't do anything different. We just come in and educate people. And they're able to earn another 2% just because of the education. And let's say they're able to do 9.5 now instead of the 7.5. It goes to $552,000, which is $141,000 more in that 17 years just by learning how to utilize it. The thing with Fidelity is going to have the most options out of any other company in America. So the opportunity for more growth and better options is extremely high. So let's say we don't just come in and do the education. We come in, we move, and do the education, and we earn 11.5 as an average. It's $740,000. That means there's a potential for another $300,000+ for the same individual, just with a better product and more education. Education is the biggest factor, but because there's not a match going into these retirement plans, because there's the pension, your product is really important also. So it's about having a better product, having the education, because when we talk about education, we're wanting to come in and work with everyone who wants it individually and teach them how to utilize that plan. On average, it's about 5 hours worth of work per employee. And we have the team to be able to do that. But that means the average person who wants to spend that 5 hours learning it is going to make the potential of another $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 more. Was it worth the 5 hours? We find about 60% of the people we offer that to are going to want to take the opportunity for that. We typically can increase participation by about 20 to 25. And we always can increase the growth by going in with the education. So that's what we're wanting to offer. Now, we're not going into the details of like, I don't know how much you're paying in advisor fees inside of those plans. I don't know what your management fees are currently. We would like to work with the HR department, figure that out, and actually come back with a full-on proposal to make sure we're not going to charge more in any of those instances, but offer you more and offer everyone who works here way more also in the long run. Are there any questions?
So do the mutual funds stay in a 401k, or how do you tax shelter this?
So yeah, so we would put it into the same type of plan that you're already in. So if it's the 457, we would, the 457, we just move that into a 457.
So they're still tax sheltered?
Yes, sir. We would make sure everything is the same. We're just moving it from where you're at into a different company. Yes.
When you mean where we're at, you mean where we're at with our other 457?
So you have nationwide and secured benefits. Currently are the two options. So we could come in as a third option and just offer a third option, or we could actually move those into another option. Now, just based off of what I've been able to gather, I don't know if the secured benefits would be able to qualify for Fidelity, because I don't know what the assets under management looks like. So we do have another company that we'd partner with to do the exact same thing, just with different options. But I'm pretty confident that the nationwide would qualify for the Fidelity, because there's more involved with the nationwide than there are with the secured benefits. So
You mentioned a target of 11.5%. Fidelity has a product that over a 20-year time
So
frame
no,
is-
the target plans are gonna be very similar across the board. So if we move from secured benefits or nationwide, the target plan on there versus ours is gonna be very similar. It comes with the education, because what happens is in the 401k or 457, in the ones you currently have, you have this many choices. So these choices are critical for you being able to grow. That's why I'm like, I think what we can do is educate someone to maybe be able to average about 9.5 because of what's offered already. We can't go in, I can't go in and change those options. It's what your advisor did for you. But we can come in with a better options plan that has better performing funds on the Fidelity side, still do the education, and then that would allow the people who wanted the education to make closer to probably 11.
So I guess, again, I'll ask the same question in a different way. The better performing funds, you have funds that over a 20-year time horizon have gotten
Yes,
10 to 11%.
or more. Yes, I
Over-
can't, so yes.
That would
Average
surprise me,
annual?
including the 2008,
Yes.
2009.
Yes, so
time.
Fidelity has over 10,000 different options. The target plan is not going to be more. But the other funds that you have the capability of putting into this
Gotcha.
definitely can.
Okay.
Yes. The target plans, whether, doesn't matter which company, they're all gonna be very similar because they decrease in rate of return as you get older, guaranteed. They'll normally start around 11–10% range for like a 20-year-old. And then every 5 years they'll decrease. And at the age of 65, 70, they're gonna be somewhere around 5.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's putting it into safer investments.
but here's the deal, people think it's safer. But when you retire, if you don't know what to do and you need money out of that, you don't have any control over which piece it comes out of. There's no control in a target plan. If you need money and the market looks bad and you start pulling money out of this, it actually will cause you a financial harm. Because there isn't the education, so,
Right. I guess what I'm,
sorry.
no, I'm, there's just if you were getting close to retirement, if you were 62 years old in 2007,
Mhm,
and you left all of your money in high risk, high reward investments,
mhm.
and you were retiring at the end of 2009, probably didn't look great for you, as it would have if you put it all in treasuries or something
So
else.
you're right, but we.
That's what I'm getting at
You're
from
right.
the risk standpoint.
But that's where
just
the
as a-
one-on-one comes into play, because when we sit there and we educate, we're educating people on how to build a better portfolio and how it actually works, and then they have the opportunity to always call us and get a review. So as they get closer to retirement, we teach the people we work with to call us to make sure that we're building, like, what they have is the best thing for them. This isn't a, hey, we wanna set you up and we're done. We're very hands-on and are like always available. Like people will, like all of your employees will end up having our personal cell phone numbers.
And I mean, it sounds like I'm being argumentative.
No,
Part of
not
that-
at all.
Part of
Not
that's
at
because
all.
it's just fun to argue about numbers.
No,
but,
not at all.
It's still gonna be incumbent upon the employee to be interested enough in their own money to reach out and
Yes.
get educated and,
So what typically happens is once we take over, or whether we come in and just do the education and we don't do the takeover, we do a workshop where we have everyone come and it's like 30 minutes. We show them this, because that money chimp, we actually have them get out their phones and do it with us so that they're engaged. That's the light bulb moment. 75% of them right off the bat are like, oh, I want an appointment. Like, I didn't know this was a thing. And so we help that. Now, out of the 75, probably 50 will actually go through with the appointment.
Sure.
But that alone, just allowing that 50% to have the opportunity to learn that
Yeah.
and benefit their futures is what we're really offering.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, and so next steps, you're gonna get with HR folks to actually make a put
To
together a
actually do
presentation.
a full-blown, like, proposal on what the fees look like, the structure, the mapping, every bit of it, with the actual funds we would use to show you what we really could do on an actual level instead of just going off of just basics. Yes.
Well, and I think historically, we have always been interested in looking at more options for our employees to choose for their money. And so, but you do get to a point where you get so many options of something you don't understand that analysis paralysis sets in.
Yes,
And
so y'all have the two already, so whether y'all decided to bring us on as a third or allowed us to take over what you currently have would be something that the board would decide on. But I'd like to present you with what we could do on the side, or if we were taking over those. So we'll build in that to like a full presentation.
Okay.
Judge, just so the court knows, we actually have four.
Before,
We have four. We have ballot, we have,
Okay, you have four.
nationwide, insert, benefits.
Okay, I haven't even heard of the other two. So because I have a couple of the people that work for the city that are clients of mine on the outside, and I haven't heard of the other two, so I apologize.
that's okay.
But I didn't know that.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners?
When you do the education part of this and you get people together and you've got people that work for, in this case, Wichita County, that range from 21 to 65, what are the percentages of the people that get involved? I'm just curious with this.
So realistically, 75%, no matter the age, are gonna want an appointment.
Yeah.
About 50 of them will actually go through with the appointment.
Does it trend to the older population?
Actually, you'd be surprised. A lot of the younger generation is really wanting to learn this too.
Wow.
So the older generation
Well, that's
needs to know
encouraging,
it.
really. Yeah.
Needs to know it because they're getting close to retirement and it's crucial for what their
Oh, yeah.
retirement looks like. But the amount that these younger individuals are losing, so Social Security realistically probably isn't going to be there for the younger generation,
Yeah.
okay? And then realistically, tax rates will continue to rise. So the only thing that these younger generations are going to have to rely on is their personal retirement plans. And a lot of them, I think, are starting to kind of realize that. And so you'd be surprised. We get a lot of the younger ones that actually want it more than some of the older.
Well, that's good, because I haven't been seeing that.
But it comes with setting the
But I don't have as
seed.
good a look at it as you do, so.
Yeah, no, it comes with placing that seed and just giving them something to like really have an idea of what it looks like. Cause then they're like, oh, I can do this.
What
Like even
kind
if all of,
participation do we have now?
I mean, we don't have a large participation, but we also have not gone over those thoroughly with
Yeah,
the employees in
it's
the
an
law.
education piece.
Roughly
So-
500 people, do 10% of the,
Maybe 20.
No.
20
So-
people? See, I thought it was pretty low.
so
Yeah.
we probably, I can't guarantee, but I'm gonna tell you my track record with coming in on the education side, I would not be surprised if we can get that close to 50.
But that's education once. What happens after the
We do
initial?
the bulk, and then if they want the one-on-one, because not everyone's the same. Some people are gonna need different specific education on how to like build their portfolios and what's needed. So we do this base, and then the ones who want the one-on-one, we start doing the one-on-one appointments with anyone who wants it.
So-
And that's where the bulk, and they're gonna learn to build their portfolio.
But if they never reach back out to you, then what?
I
Is
can't do
there
anything
any-
about it. We'll reach out,
And
we'll
I think
continue.
that's where we're at right now with the current plans, is that no one realizes.
So
it.
are you saying like if they don't sign up or they don't, we reach out to them, they don't reach back to us, we can always do another seminar, another book seminar for
So-
everybody?
I mean, that's my big concern.
So
is
the-
if we offer it to them, they get involved in it. It's all happy when you see it first, but then life
Well,
happens and you never
you
think about
also
it again.
probably have not had an advisor team that has
Okay.
been real adamant about reaching out themselves instead of them having to reach out to us. us reaching out to them after that workshop is typically how we do that. We write down the people who want us to reach out, and then we reach out and set that one-on-one if they want. So we are very hands-on with wanting to work with everyone individually, which is
That's why I think we see the apathy with the accounts, that no one, because there's no, the education's key if you're not,
It
like
is.
you've said, but if we're only doing it one time, we're only offering it one time for them and.
Yeah, so we do, typically for a size, something this size, we would do something at least every quarter. For any new employees or anyone who missed out or wants to come to the workshop, we would do something every quarter. We would be here present at whatever locations we needed to be quarterly.
You know, not only is, and I agree with your statement, the Social Security deal is something everybody's hung their hat on, but boy, if you pay attention to what's going on, the hook to hang your hat on is getting smaller all the time. And another thing that bothers me in just watching the overall economy is it's so difficult for younger people to buy and own a home now, which is another major step in your financial future.
Well,
And so this planning is gonna be more and more important to pick up the pieces from some of the things that are not gonna be available to us.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
We really push the education, cause it is the biggest part of what we do.
Yeah, now you mentioned being 20, if you could find a way to make me 20, I'll take care of
Unfortunately, I
it.
can't do that part, but I can help you move it
And know
forward.
what I know now. You know, I've been 20 and I've been an idiot, so, you know. Interesting.
Okay, thank you for the time.
Thank you very
Your
much.
presentation was actually 15 minutes, the rest was questions, so
Okay,
kudos
wonderful.
to you.
Good. I wanted to try to make sure I didn't take too much. So thank y'all very much,
All right.
and I look forward to coming back with a proposal.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to item number 2, which is review and discuss proposed changes to the Wichita County Policy Manual. Kenneth, you are the guy, it looks like.
I'm the guy. There's just a few things.
Well, hold
nothing-
on, actually. Commissioners, y'all should in your backup documents have, I think the full policy manual's in there, but probably more importantly, the sheet showing what the changes were, or proposed changes are, is also in there. So, alright, now, go ahead.
Okay, so first is just a change of name, basically changing it to time and attendance from what it previously was. Time clock, I believe it was. And then second is adding some information in about remote workers. So this is basically just discussing travel expenses between work and home, what the county will not pay for. So, if you all
And
would
to be
like-
clear, this is a completely brand new section, right?
Right, correct. Yes, this is being added again. So,
What section is
It
it?
is 4.02.6, which will be on page 41.
yes.
And not to steal Kenneth's thunder, but it's, up until now, we have not had an explicit policy outlining reimbursements for remote workers that are traveling to Wichita Falls and what those entail. This will make it clear that if they have to travel from wherever their home is to Wichita County for work, the only reimbursement expenses that are eligible are lodging fees only.
I think some people have been doing it differently up until
Yeah.
that point, and that's why we've added
Yeah,
it.
because we didn't have a uniform policy on it, so that's what this is designed to do, is to outline what that would be.
Correct. And then next would be page 47. It's kind of just a bit of a clarification on the lodging, what will not be paid, and how to go about putting in to have reimbursement, stuff like that on there. So.
I couldn't tell because I was looking at the printed version. That one, what is the new, is that whole section new?
No, it's really just on here to so you understand what is the policy
410-4 has
on
always
lodging.
been there?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's nothing changing in 410-4?
No, it's just
on here to draw attention, okay.
yes, just an explanation so that people understand from the previous what's being added in there with what we're paid. And the next one's page 54. It's just removing a line. Law enforcement personnel will receive pay for the amount of hours of their regularly scheduled shift. That's being removed. They'll just be paid 8 hours like
What's
other
the,
county employees.
what was the initiating factor or the rationale for that one?
That was brought to our attention, I believe, just, I don't really, do you have any information?
I think,
Share with them.
just to clarify with our employees who are on 12-hour shifts, that they only get 8 hours of
Right.
holiday on those
Okay.
days. They don't
Okay.
get the full 12-hour shift pay.
I think it was the
Holiday pay.
expectation of
Yeah.
them
Okay.
that they would be
Mhm.
paid, like a 12, if they work a 12-hour shift,
Right.
they'd be paid 12 hours.
And we had that same issue come up with, individuals from juvenile detention that
Okay.
asked that same question.
Making clear it's a holiday, it's 8 hours.
Yes,
not-
sir.
Mhm.
If you're on a 12-hour shift, it's not 12. Okay.
And that's everything from the policy manual.
All right. Commissioners, any questions, feedback, discussion, thoughts?
Straightforward.
On that, I didn't get to read all the way through that one. Was that, they had to go 200 miles? Or is it 100 miles? I was looking at that.
So it's you get overnight,
47.
you can stay a night after a conference or a seminar if it ends after 3 p.m. or after, and you still have over 200 miles to travel. You can get reimbursement for going the night before and staying overnight for a seminar or conference if it starts at 9 a.m. or before and you have to travel 100 miles or more to get there. It's the way that reads now. So it's just designed to help provide guidelines for seminar, conference, travel, going before or staying after,
Yeah.
and what the
And
county will do.
thinking of the safety of our,
Yeah, so you're not.
Yeah.
And of course, there is that last statement at the end that if you've got a scenario that you think falls outside of those, department heads or county officials may petition the commissioner's court consideration approval exceptions. So,
What happens, so just as an example on like precinct 2, in the summertime, if they're working 4-day work week and they bumped up to that, more hours per day, what happens on the 4th of July for them?
It would be an 8-hour
Mhm.
holiday. They do that,
That's
they
the way-
get holiday.
And that's the
pay for
way it
8
has
hours.
been now.
Mhm.
They'd have to make up.
Yeah, we're not changing that,
2 hours.
that's just for the, law enforcement, that extra sentence was in there, we'd be getting rid of that just so that it's clear
Mhm.
for law enforcement personnel, not to expect a 12-hour holiday pay.
And the change in meals, that has been, there wasn't anything in the policy, and so there had been a precedent set that we would just pay those out before I came on, and then we had continued that, and then we had saw that, I brought it to judge's attention, to HR's attention, and then that's the reason why we have made that change. We had paid out about $3,000 in meals for some remote workers in 2025 that we felt perhaps that wouldn't necessarily need to be paid because Wichita County is still the home base of employment for
Right.
the remote worker.
And that there, in some positions that there may be such demand for or limited supply, I understand the need for the exceptional case of the remote worker, but it's not, meals incurred as part of that time shouldn't be part of that. All right, any questions? I think this is on the agenda for Tuesday to approve changes.
I believe so.
I think that's right, okay. So, commissioners, if you look at it, you've got questions or further thoughts over the weekend, this is gonna be an item on Tuesday to actually discuss adopting those changes for the policy manual. And as always, if you think of something else that needs to be added and discussed, let HR know, and we can take
Table
those- we can take those, we can take those up at a later time as well. That's funny.
We got a big table.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's, Kenneth, Matt, both of y'all, thank you for the input and the work on that. Number 3, county policy discussion regarding county employee certifications and associated responsibilities for employees. This one came up because, and honestly, it affects our road and bridge guys probably more than anyone else, where it is a necessary and vital component of the job for at least some of your guys to have CDLs. And so I think for a long time, and Jeff can clarify where I missed this, but we've been able to get guys who are county employees, get their certification through Vernon College CDL driver, and there was an outside program grant that was paying for that.
From Workforce Commission.
Workforce Commission. That grant is no longer out there available, or Workforce Commission has had to retool, and so it came up where we had a road and bridge person who was doing the same thing we'd always done, but now it was having to come out of the precinct budget to pay for, which opened up a larger question of when we've got county employees who, it might make sense so that they can do their job better to have a certification of some sort. It might be an HR certification, might be CDL, whatever it might be. That the county's gonna be investing money for their employee, well then, what do we do if we've made them more hireable outside and they go and do something else? And so when that question came up, I thought it would be good for us to at least talk that out here and see if it might be one of those things that we just wanna invest in our people and we'll take that risk, or do we try to have a mechanism for
Well, we've never done that before, so.
done what before?
Until we did the CDL drivers. Like when Tanya came on board, it was a requirement of her position to have a SHRM certificate. She paid for that class. It was very expensive, as did Sonia. Very expensive class to go to. We tried to get the court to pay for it at that time, and there was no desire. I would like to see us actually do something like that if they come to court and have if it's gonna make them a better employee, but have a way to recoup the funds if they don't follow through with a year of employment afterwards, so.
And I think that's the challenge,
Yeah.
is,
Now, Mark, were those, the particular issues you're talking about, did they come with a raise if the certification was met?
Might come with employment. If you didn't meet that certification by X date, then their employment was terminated.
But
or
did
could
they,
be- could have
but
been.
if they received certification, were they given an increase?
No, sir, that was, Commissioner, you're thinking of the predecessor in HR
Okay.
department at that,
Oh,
we had
okay.
that discussion last.
Okay.
She was offered more money, I believe, the predecessor was,
Correct.
if she'd finished.
Yes.
there's a lot of people in this room with a lot more time in county government than me, so historically, has the county ever reimbursed folks on a way, as a way to get out from under the, we pay up front, they leave
No,
and we're out
a
problem?
reimbursement would be great in a situation like that. You pay up front, you achieve your certificate, and maybe the county pays half, the
Right.
city used to pay half for tuition assistance on something like that.
And then you could balance that out over time, so that
Mhm.
if you expect we're gonna do this, but it comes with the expectation that you're here for a year, to recoup the investment, so to speak, you just pay that out over. Nothing that you're aware of that would keep us from doing that.
Are you specifically talking about CDL?
I'm talking about
Well,
CDL,
anything.
any
Anything,
certifications
yeah.
that,
But we have we have a hard time hiring people with CDLs anymore, because of the market. So, yeah, having the ability to hire them and then help them get a CDL is pretty vital moving forward. I don't think we're gonna be able to find that many Class A drivers.
What's a CDL cost us now?
4,000.
What?
4,000.
Good.
But I mean, I have people in my office, including myself, that are going for my CPA, and I mean, it's $1,000 a test.
and this is where, I'm a little worried about opening up a Pandora's box here,
Mhm.
then putting the commissioner's court in the position of having to approve every single certification that might improve
Well,
someone.
think about the law enforcement
Law
side.
enforcement class of
There
it.
is certification for tremendous amount of different things.
Mhm.
Different classes, schools you would go to, you're
Just
gonna
getting your
start paying extra
license.
for every one of those. I think that's
Yeah.
I do agree with your box.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, that if CDL are in that short, and it's one of the operations will shut down if you don't have it, is that an exception to the Commissioner's Court willing to say, all right, this is an exception, and we're gonna do this? But it does potentially put us in the place where we make those determinations on everything and trying to figure out how then we go about it. Well, I would imagine that CPAs are probably in short supply and.
There are things out there we hadn't even thought of.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, and like Mark said on CDL, as we go further down the road, we'll see less and less employees come to the table with that certification because it's expensive and they're not gonna go and get it unless they specifically had a desire to be out over the road.
It's gonna
somehow.
cost us a lot more than $4,000
Mhm.
at that point.
I do think that, and that's why we're having this discussion today, we probably do need a policy one way or the other, though. Well, if the answer is no, then that you do accept, we run into the problem of, okay, well then, the auditor's office is gonna have a question when the bill comes in to pay something, the court has to approve that then, and we're back
I will
in the situation.
I'll say something that repeats something I said when we were talking about lawyer space.
Mhm.
If we're having a problem hiring one person or one type of person, then let's deal with that. Let's don't raise the pay for everybody in a group. Kinda like that Pandora's box. If you wanna open that up to certificate pay, then everybody in here can get a certificate for something. Maintenance can get certificates for different things in their office too, so I think
All I'm,
you need to address the problem and not try to fix everything. What if?
my thought is if it's a requirement for the job and we're having trouble finding somebody that meets those requirements, but we can hire somebody that's a good candidate that can get that certification in a reasonable amount of time, then I think the county should help with making sure that they get that certification. Cause we've invested in hiring that person, cause we've deemed them worthy to work for the county.
If you're paying them at a lower
At
rate.
a lower rate, while they get it.
While
I
they're-
get that.
And that way it would offset that difference some, but most everybody wants to hire somebody at the max pay.
Yeah, 'cause
But-
then-
Yeah,
The
you're kinda-
second part of Jim's question is, so we pay for a young man, very capable, to go get a CDL, and then what's the requirement? We spend $4,000 on him, and after he graduates, 30 days he's gone.
Well, there has to be a caveat in there if we do a tuition
I don't know.
assistance.
The problem is that legally, I don't
You
think
can't do
you
that.
can go back and try, I mean, you can even make it a contractual thing as part of their employment, but good luck getting that.
You can't
No
make people
enforcement
promise
mechanism on that.
Yeah.
to work for you for years, you just,
Well, I mean,
no way to enforce
can't
that.
do it on a reimbursement, they pay everything up front, and then once they get the certification, you can reimburse half, and that, I think that's what the city did.
You can once they give you the certificate, then you do a payroll reimbursement, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, to put this out a little bit further, you have a public defender who recently had one, and you have a CDA's office that had a few, where they were graduated from college, but they hadn't got to sit for their bar exam yet. So then, now they're gonna say, well, the
Yeah.
county's doing this for other employees, I need you to cover my bar exam.
And this is where, that's the box.
Right.
Then you run into a little bit
But,
of
I mean,
discrimination
right.
issue.
But really and truly, if you're hired on the pretense of being an attorney, coming to the table with being an attorney is relevant. It's not that we're hiring you and saying, hey, we're gonna we're gonna pay for that testing to be done so that you can become an attorney. We hired you as an
Well, our
attorney.
road and bridge says that right now. The criteria of our road and bridge says you have to be able to obtain a CDL in 6 months.
In
So
our-
how's that no any different?
It doesn't say that, Mick. We just typically think that way.
Once
What
it's
if they
safe,
fail the
Jack,
test?
Huh?
What if they fail the test?
then they're get
The
terminated.
job
$4,000, don't we pay $4,000?
That's why we had, I mean, we had a meeting, that was a closed session issue, but.
Yeah. It might, I mean, I think that's a question of what does the job description say?
Mhm.
Kenneth, do you know off the top of your head? I'm putting you on the spot. If you don't, that's fine. Say you don't.
What's the Sonia's for?
Well, I can tell you, all the operator does have it in there. The operator level, now your laborer don't, but an operator says in the deal that it has to be able to obtain a CDL, not a, it doesn't say class A or class B, but it says a CDL within 6 months, 180 days.
Well, but it doesn't address any of who pays for that, and where's that, how's
No,
that coming
it's
to that?
stipulations of their job, no different than having to have a class C license to go to work for us. It's the same.
People are gonna look at it like no one, if Matt needed to finish something in college, I wouldn't pay for him to go to
Right.
college, cause that's his job. He did what he needed to do to obtain that job.
And he really didn't have to have that job.
No, I mean, but if it was anything
Right.
else, like anybody who goes to college, they got their job because they took it upon themselves
Right.
to go to college and get that stuff done.
And-
So if you wanna be a CDL driver, to me, you should go get your own.
And it is a certification or it is a degree or whatever that makes you more hireable and honestly raises your value on the.
And then
But-
people are gonna
Employment
leave
market.
because they can get a way better job, they're making a lot more money than they can at the county.
Judge Hughes.
Just another caveat in the Pandora's box.
Thank you. We need more.
Yes, clerks of the court. We hired clerks to come on to work for us. However, through the Texas Justice Court Training Center, they can attend and pay for their own testing to be a master civil clerk, a master criminal clerk, or both. So they take their courses, they take their classes, they take their test. If they fail, they can try again. You can keep trying until you pass those tests. Is there any compensation or reward? No. However, if that does come as an opportunity, of course I would want to encourage my clerks to seek out that training, because the better trained they are, the better educated they are, the more it helps my office and the county as a whole. So if there would be some sort of financial incentive, of course I would argue that for and fight for my people for that. However, on the other side, if they leave the county, it does them no good in the outside world. They can't take that and go work for a private business or a private company and use that to their, now if they went to work for another justice of the peace, sure, it could follow them to another JP. But if they go to any other outside company or outside workplace, they can't use that to their advantage like they could here in the county.
But
Big difference.
any schooling license certificates benefit you, whether it's in your job field or not. If you're gonna go to work somewhere else and you're turning in your resume and you have all this accomplishment,
Sure.
it makes a huge
It would
difference.
enhance your resume.
Sure.
There would be.
The big difference here is when we have a non-CDL driver, then our trucks don't roll.
Right.
And that, we have to have our trucks roll. We hire road and bridge workers because of their skills in other areas, because they can run a bulldozer, they can run a front end loader. And then we train them to be CDL drivers, which is another thing that we do, another operation. It's not all of our operation, it's
Or it
maybe
could be
a
vice
quarter.
versa. Some of those
Yeah.
know how to drive a truck, but
Yeah,
never operate.
and then we
one.
train them
Right.
on other ones.
Right.
So that's why it's a requirement for all of our staff to be CDL.
Right, but
But
to the judge's point, if you only hired people that had that certification, you wouldn't get any applicants.
Oh, I don't think any of the
Yeah.
clerks
No,
in
you
any,
couldn't.
I think there's only one clerk in all the JP's office that is certified on either civil or criminal. None of the other clerks. And I've been working in the JP's office since 2011, and I don't think, I wasn't certified. None of our clerks were certified. They didn't wanna go through the testing, and there was no incentive.
Right.
Hopefully you're just in the job long enough that you could pick up on things long enough, but the testing is very trying. It's a hard test to go through.
in Tanya's case, that was a requirement put on that job by the commissioner's court. She was deemed the best candidate for the job, and she did not have that certification. But it was it was our requirement that she have it, so she paid for the class.
Well, it's kind of a requirement put on by state law.
No, that was not. That was a requirement that was
Well,
put
but-
on by this court. It did not have to be there.
The reason we require them to have it is because the law says they've gotta have it.
No, SHRM
Right.
certificate's worthless,
Yeah,
in
that's
my
my point.
opinion. I took the class too. I paid for it, if y'all remember.
We're not reimbursing.
No, that ship sailed a long time ago. That ship sailed a long time ago.
I
But
bet yours closed, sorry.
But did that make her any one bit better of a HR director? In my estimate, no, it didn't do anything.
Able to hire people with a CDL is a direct relation to the economy in general, and it always will be. If there's tremendous demand out there for them, they're gonna be hard to hire. If there's a surplus, we go through a down economy, there'll be a bunch of people you can hire. It's a direct relation. I don't know how you make
Yeah,
that,
I don't disagree with you.
no.
The challenge comes when data centers start being built. And
You know,
Ricky can't get anybody on the maintenance side with any sort of skill set
absolutely.
anymore because they're there. So now, are we paying for folks to become electricians,
Yeah.
plumbers, HVAC specialists, whatever, because the job market is dictating it. We need to have them where the stuff doesn't run. That, I think that's what I'm bringing up right now, is that we start getting in the middle of making those judgment calls, which, heck, that may be what we do, but, those are the kinds of this is not gonna be a cut and dry thing, because any department head or elected official in county government is gonna be able to come before us and make a decent case of why their metaphorical trucks don't roll without it.
Well, it's the same discussion, Sheriff, that the city has with training police officers and firemen. That discussion's gone on forever, and we train them and they go to Metroplex. I mean, you know, I don't blame them, and-
city.
yeah, I don't know, how you gonna handle that? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
And, yeah, if we can't hire CDL drivers, then our trucks don't roll, then we have to go out to contract, and in the upcoming scenario that we're looking at, we're not gonna be able to afford that, so we just don't do road work anymore.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes, sir.
I might be able to shed a little bit of light, I don't know.
Okay. I did take your name in vain a while ago, so.
From my previous employment, I was tasked with hiring HVAC techs, plumbing techs, and people that could work on fire systems. And that's what our company was based on. If we didn't have people who could fix air conditioners, you weren't gonna make money. If you didn't have people that could fix plumbing, you're not gonna make money. So you have to find these people, which is a challenge. You get them, and then you get somebody that's got the right perspective and the right attitude. And then when you train them, because that's a big challenge, is you pay thousands and thousands of dollars to send them to chiller classes and God knows what. And then they come back and then they go down the street to Joe Blow for $2 more an hour. So what we did to try to protect our interest a little bit was we put together a training agreement. And basically it says, we're sending you here, this is the cost of your training, this is your room and board, this is all the cost incurred to train you. And then what we're gonna do is you're gonna sign an agreement for this, and if you leave prior to this agreement term, then it would be prorated out of whatever pay you had left to pay back.
But Mel, is that enforceable?
No.
You can't collect it.
You,
It's
I
like
wouldn't
a,
wanna go-
it's like a
speaking of
non-compete.
Pandora's box, that's
It's
one
like a
that-
non-compete agreement. How good are
It's-
those?
Well, I mean,
Not
it all
fair.
depends on the morals
Yeah,
of the
not fair.
employee that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Some will stick with it and some won't.
Yeah, but, and it, you know, I guess when we told them they were signing an agreement, and it was totally understood that they're doing this, it's gonna be a payroll deduction if it needs to be, and fortunately, we didn't have to enforce it.
I was gonna ask if y'all ever had to
But
enforce
maybe
it.
that in itself was a deterrent, so I'm
Yeah.
just throwing it out there for you.
Okay,
But
no, that's.
hiring people's a real challenge, I need one right now.
Yeah.
So if I can train him, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Hawkins.
You've seen the same, but just in the rears, right? Where, because it puts the onus back on the employee to be like, is this worth it? Do I wanna stay a year to get X percentage back? Do I wanna stay 2 years to try to, compensate myself back? Or is it worth me just go ahead and paying because it's gonna provide me the opportunity to do my job better, to leave and to garner better, compensation elsewhere, versus, I can see the pitfalls, right, of what Ricky just shared. Obviously, you guys have the ability to just say yes and no, as it comes available. But it would be nice because we are county, right, and we do compete against the private industry all the time, and we want good people to serve. And so having something in place where I have the ability to go, that's gonna help me, I'm just gonna cover it myself. I'm gonna save up, I'm gonna cover it, I'm gonna take care of it, versus like, no, this is a big deal. I would appreciate the county helping me, and I'm okay giving up another year to wait for that compensation to come back. Now, the issue then doesn't necessarily help when it's a good chunk of change that they need to have to do their job tomorrow, and not everyone has that ability to just fork that forward to then get compensated in the rears or as they put time in. But
Let the individual pay for it and payroll deduct it.
$2 an hour for a year is $4,100. So that's what I'm saying. If you hire somebody that's a good candidate and they know that as soon as they get their CDL, they're making $2 more an hour. It's an incentive. I mean, it is an incentive in itself.
Our whole pay scale on.
No, I mean, it's the way it's set up right now compared to our hourly people and our operator pay. I mean, I'll tell everybody right here, we're talking about salaries. Come budget season, I've seen sheriff's department, I've seen the courts, I've seen the auditor's office. A lot of people have got raises. Road and bridge guys
Not really kept up.
have not really, they've been behind. Road and bridge guys are behind compared to what truckers, even local truckers can make. Our road and bridge guys are behind. And I think this is stuff that's gonna have to be addressed more in those budget meetings than it is in making a CDL rule about it right now.
Yeah, well, and this was just to drive some of that discussion, because to get that thinking, because Matt, right now, someone comes and wants to have the county pay for a certification class or whatever. What's y'all's response to that right now? You need to get commissioner's court approval?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have the problem of this guy supposed to start school on Monday. We sent a check to go on Tuesday, but that doesn't mean he's gonna pay, but I'm just saying, he's supposed to go to school Monday.
We're not necessarily getting closer to an answer. We're expanding the discussion is really all we're doing. We're making the problem bigger as we go, which is.
I've got one right now that needs it too. This is not an issue that I'm not facing also. I'm just trying to.
Well, and if I can hop on the salary discussion real quick. So, my office, yes, they did receive raises, but we also gave back $30,000 in budget, absorbed a position, and we're about to speak with the district judges about absorbing another position. We have historically underpaid our road and bridge guys. Those guys can go to Clay County and make what, $3 or $4 more an hour?
I can tell you, one of them applied from Clay County to my precinct because he wanted to work over there for me, and he was a young guy, CDL driver, road grader equipment, did everything. He is making right at $24 an hour, and I could only pay him about $17.50.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't even minding taking a pay cut. He just can't take that kind of pay cut.
Right.
So that's Clay County paying that. And I say 24. I think it was 23.80, or it was something. It was somewhere in that area, but it was considerably more than you make at ours.
But we have the ability with the road and bridge funds for the 3 precincts and with the transfer to another precinct to do those kind of increases in the 2027 budget. We just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Because we tried to do it 30% across the board and not really try to get too far out with the exception of certain departments.
And that's why I brought up that at budget time, this will be something that will have to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because that's when, you have to put all those different pieces have to fit into a puzzle that works and makes sense.
And that, that could be a consideration as well. I mean, like what Mickey's saying, my, oldest top hands are, with the start of the new year payroll, will be about $41,000 employees. But my two youngest or my two newest are less than that. They're probably more of the $39,000 position. And which, you know, the last thing you want is to hire a guy just so that he can sit there and look for jobs all day long on your payroll. That's
Right.
That's not what we want to do.
And some of those guys, once you do find them and you get a relationship with them, you find out they're a really good guy, you wanna keep them around.
Yeah.
No different than a lot of departments in here. You
Yeah.
find somebody, you're like, man, I don't wanna lose them.
Yeah.
You're in the same boat, I know.
Some of them have some really good skills that we're not reimbursing for properly.
To Barry's point, yeah, I think we're gonna have that fog year rather than.
Well, I'm not
clear
saying
cut.
that it's good stuff to discuss, but we're kinda not, we're headed away from it.
Well, and that's why I asked the question, if
Yeah.
someone comes and makes that request now, how does it work?
Yeah.
And there's a process for it to go through.
Right, but in the instance of this individual, the cost is $4,000. So it's under the $5,000 threshold, and it is that elected official's authority to authorize payment of the invoice. So
Well,
then,
Okay, so that's why I asked the question that's a little different than, yes, it will come to Commissioner's Court for approval. Then that's only from the standpoint of on the bills being paid.
right,
Which would indicate the need for some sort of policy direction if we're not happy with elected officials being able to just make that choice and
Right,
negotiate
because
the
once we
invoice.
set the precedence, then that's when everybody runs in.
Sure. As long as
But
they've got the
as
room
long
in
as they
their
have the
budget
budget.
to pay for it. Okay, well, I think all we'll do now at this point is beat a dead horse, so, any other final comments, thoughts on that? Something to be thinking about. All right,
Just cause there's no decisions today.
yeah, we can't make a decision if we wanted to. All right, thank y'all for that.
Stimulating
Humor-
conversation.
Humoring me on that. Item number 4, what is review and discuss jail maintenance projects and work orders. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Thank you, Ricky.
Go, Ricky.
Oh,
Yeah,
he gone.
Ask him about the roof.
yeah,
That's why he left.
Yeah, exactly.
good idea.
So really what we're gonna do on that is just do a quick overview of last year's major projects. The roof, we're still waiting for repair. I don't know where we're at on that. We'll be in spring before you're done with
Well,
it,
Rick
so.
was working on reaching back out to the original company to kind
Yeah.
of do what they originally estimated for.
Yeah, and I just touched base with that. The next major one, of course, the network system in that IT closet that we've approved through the court. We're still waiting for Cornerstone to finish up and building what they're gonna build for that. The exit gate, is waiting for Willen to come out and run the wires for that. Got one RTU unit that is having issues, the heat staying on. So we have that being worked on. Yeah, that's really about the main ones. So they did, 2,601 work orders last year in the jail.
How many will?
2,601.
Hmm.
Pretty busy.
Like, Will, right now, you talk about that heat. If you didn't do anything, if heaters were off and you didn't turn them on, does the facility maintain a certain temperature typically anyway?
Once you get to the temperature you want, those 12-inch concrete walls keep it pretty much where you want it to be. Now, when you get some really cold weather, it'll drop pretty fast.
So, just to give you an idea, when we had Uri, we took temperature readings inside the building, it was 56 degrees with no power for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, it held up pretty well.
It held it really well. And that was on that north wall on A-pod.
Yeah, that was the worst
Worst
reading.
spot, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That
Yeah.
chase on A-pod. But that was really the main things with the the coverage for the work orders. We didn't have anything major outstanding right now, or this past 2 weeks, anything working on.
Looking at the out-of-county revenue report, marshal service numbers, so those seem to be a little higher than they have been? Is that right?
Yeah.
Or-
Let me pull that report up. Maybe just a little bit, you know, and I need to clarify this with Stacy and Lisa and Vicky, that, so with the, if we have an ICE detainee, we actually get to charge them, even though they have a 48 hours to come get them, or 72 hours, we get to charge them for those 3 days, so you may be seeing some of that in there.
Does that roll into US Marshals?
Yes,
Okay.
they piggyback off that contract.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on jail maintenance projects, work orders? All right. Let's head along to item 5, which is receive status report on salaries and overtime. Everyone should have that from Wilmer from yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't want me to point out what time it went out.
I had to send an email and ask about it. I didn't know. We are down, I think, 6 in the jail right now. I think we put out 7 offers. Maybe we're set to 7 down, but we had 2 leave in the last week or 2 to go to the city on the newest academy that's starting. They came out of the jail, and then we had 1 retired this past month, and nutrition to other ones just, were asked to leave.
So the waiting list lasted 3 weeks?
Well, we still have a waiting list.
Okay.
We're still working. The open positions we have, we're gonna fill this week.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
So I think
I
actually they
misunderstood.
may even start today, so. And then, so on this latest pay period, we had a couple that were still in training, so we didn't have a full count on the floor. But you can see the total number of hours is pretty much cut in half than it was earlier this year. I don't know what page y'all have it on, but there's a total number of 561 overtime of 1,676 hours. Now, part of that 666 hours of that was vacation and sick time that we had to cover in the jail. So if you took that off and you took those open positions, you'd still be about 500 hours of overtime that we don't have accounted for. We also have an inmate at Southwest Hospital in Dallas that's been there for probably going on 8 or 9 days. Series of surgeries, and I don't know if she's getting out anytime soon. So that's 24-hour coverage.
You'll just rotate folks through, coming up and back to do that?
Yeah.
It's bad enough when it's in town.
Go ahead.
I said it's bad enough when it's in town, must be terrible down there.
Yeah. Plus hotel fees and per diem meals, and it's expensive.
Incredibly. Taxpayers don't realize what kind of expense.
And they were involved in a car accident down there, so DCIF car, it's ours, and we'll have to replace that one, DCIF. The driver of the other car fled on foot after the accident, so we don't know who was driving that car.
That happened while they were in the Metroplex?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. On the North Dallas Tollway or 35 right there, where it comes together.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't.
After this week,
It's the first week of the year. Hope it gets better.
it's been cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Not just around here.
Yeah.
My life too.
Okay. Y'all still looking?
You done.
I'm good.
Okay.
Judge, can I make a comment?
Please.
So the payroll guys had to implement the new benefits in this payroll, And obviously, we had 4 holidays, which is an unprecedented occurrence for county government, for us to have 4 holidays on one payroll. And they are still working on the timekeeping system. I would like to just tell the court that I greatly appreciate what Wilmer and James do for our office. Mike is also assisting them. James was up here on a Saturday working on all the new benefits. We did have some issues with Colonial and the employee navigator that we've identified, and we'll be refunding a few employees on this next paycheck. But Wilmer obviously worked until 10 o'clock last night and sent a few messages to me on needing some things, but we got it done, and it's only gonna get better from here.
That's well said. Thank you.
Only thing
Yeah.
constant is change, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I'll say Wilmer and James have both been great help, so, and Wilmer's very patient with me when I call 15th time on the same problem.
Yeah.
Was at least patient to your face.
Sometimes we
you
drop
know.
the ball too, you know. and-
No, that's, cause I don't know how to do it, and he walks me back through again, so.
You know, that's one of the things to think about when we talk about things like the CDL and paying for all that stuff. Every time we come up with one of these brilliant ideas, sometimes it sure complicates how you get that handled and all the steps you gotta go through. So there is another end to it.
Well, and we knew and had discussed that making such a big shift, like with the benefits shift, was there were gonna be some growing pains and some things that you did. And there has been some of that, but
And do it in that
Okay.
short a time.
Right.
Yeah,
but
that's what makes it work.
between the auditor's office, especially the payroll guys, and the HR office, I mean, been able to handle and put out those fires pretty quickly. So
I would like to say that technically payday is Friday, and we always get paid at least on Thursday. And multiple employees called the office to complain because they didn't have their direct deposit on Wednesday.
Oh,
And
no.
I think that is just ridiculous, because
Yeah.
payday is Friday. So you shouldn't set your automatic payments to come out on Wednesday or Thursday, because technically you get paid on Friday.
and no matter how many emails Matt sends out
No.
that outline what the payday is.
Multiple people calling to complain.
Mark and
Well,
Mickey
have you
remember
been
it.
shooting now? It seemed like a few months ago, you were talking about maybe making it where it was a late Wednesday function, or it helped y'all
And
somehow.
he's tried, but this one was hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Oh,
hard. He
yeah,
couldn't make the time.
complicated.
But
We
with the
didn't do it.
timekeeping system not being all the way where we are not having any
Implemented.
problems in any pay periods yet, then we haven't made that change. But once we get a few more payrolls under our belt and everything's going smoothly, we're not running any issues, then that would be something that I would be interested to bring to the court, but that may be a March or April discussion.
Well,
Take-
See, Margaret, I didn't even complain that my temporary health care card was too big to fit in my wallet.
No,
Yeah.
no kidding. Aren't you afraid
I
to cut
did.
it? Cause I'm afraid that lamination will pop out and it'll just be a little piece of paper.
Well, you
Got
know,
it.
Mark and Mickey and I all
Got
worked in
mine.
the city when you couldn't get paid before 3 o'clock on Friday,
Yep,
and the banks wouldn't credit to you till Monday, and the city held on that interest money all weekend. So.
And we could do that too, cause that might generate enough money to pay for some CDL.
I remember having to stand in line to take payroll over to payroll, and you had to wait in line on Fridays
Mhm.
to hand deliver your timesheets.
Mm.
People aren't appreciative when you make things easier, they just
Yeah.
expect it.
Which is all to say, thank you to the
Yeah,
payroll
thank
guys
you.
for the work
Thank
they're
you
doing.
for answering all my frantic calls.
And
I think I've got it now.
if don't plan your withdrawals and everything prior to the Friday when checks are supposed
Or
to
have
be
the money in the
delivered.
bank.
All right. Any other questions on salaries and overtime?
It all looks pretty simple sitting on this side of the.
Yeah.
this side of the deal, yeah.
I don't know what the problem is.
Oh, well, I don't know what the problem is.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank y'all.
Good weekend.
I'll give him that.
All right, then we'll move along
I'll get your
to
stuff this weekend.
review and discuss regular bills.
It just magically shows up.
And Judge and Commissioners, I would like to say that I jumped the gun. You can ignore the LSPDG file. It's a grant that we have not been reimbursed for yet, so I jumped the gun on that one. It's not gonna pay on.
And we're very particular about not paying grants that we haven't gotten reimbursed for yet ahead of time.
That's correct.
That's good.
Yes.
Margaret, can you see where I had an Electrostar newspaper publication.
There was, all of you did, it was the ad for, your
Road
road and bridge
materials.
stuff, and so that bill was split
Oh,
between
okay,
four of you, it was $50 bill. So
okay.
it's $12.50 apiece. You also had your quarterly, bill from the drug place that does your random drug testing, so all of you were charged $30.
Okay.
For that one, we split it in four.
Is that North Texas?
No, that was DATC. I think.
Everybody had a
Oh, yeah.
test?
Pardon me?
Everybody had a
No, it's-
test?
No, this is because we have to pay them they have
Quarterly
a
fee.
quarterly fee to do the random drug test.
Yeah.
So every quarter you'll have that.
Seems like my guys get tested more than y'all's guys.
Well, it's random, but it's only between
Well, what-
CDL
Connected?
drivers, so it's only so random.
Oh, so I get,
You've got
See, you don't want to get some more CDL drivers, you're
Well,
just gonna have more tests.
It can
it
only be
bills
so
me.
random.
I mean, I get a bill every time there's a darn random drug test, and it,
What is Clinics of North Texas? I've got a charge here for them.
Employee physical,
Yeah, it's employee physical.
so it's a new hire.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I normally don't like doing this, but it spurred something. I was gonna ask a question. I see the HRA reimbursement. How long into the year do folks have to request HRA reimbursement for 2025 expenses?
End of March,
End of March. Okay.
but the quicker the better.
Right.
and
always.
the HR, all that consists of what fees?
That is
Any copay or,
Well, there's two sections, pharmacy and what would you call the other,
Medical,
Medical.
which includes the emergency room too.
what is the pharmacy portion? What are we shooting for? Anything over what?
It's either
150.
100 or 150.
see, I never have asked for anything back, and
But you've
I
got
was-
till
I was-
March.
And
Well,
I've
we-
got plenty
we
of medical
appreciate
I pay
that.
for, I just never
He
get
said,
that.
you appreciate that.
Print off all your EOBs and then send it all in and
Mickey,
ask them
you
to.
won't have anything, just don't worry about it.
You've paid for one CDL with the amounts that you haven't asked for reimbursement on. But again, that's for 2025 expenses, sooner the better.
Do I have to go dig up all those receipts and all that?
Well,
No,
no, there's all you do
That's why I
on the
didn't do it.
pharmacy is go to your pharmacy and get a printout.
Okay,
That's all you have to do, and if you use a couple of pharmacies, get both of them. And then the rest is on the portal, and you can just print one report, and Sonia can help you with
It has
that.
a big summary, it'll say like you paid $1,500 out of your 3,000, or you paid this much
Right.
out of this.
I thought I was gonna have to go dig on the dash of my truck and see
No, no, you don't have to come up with the individual ones.
my filing cabinet.
Pardon?
I spent a lot of money when I went to hospital that year, and I didn't
$42
have to.
to submit your HR
That
report.
was-
Oh, well.
And county and taxpayers, thank you.
Incapacitated.
I lose money all the
Listen,
time.
you don't want
It's just
to
like
do
going to
it.
Vegas.
Must be Friday, Judge.
I think so. A Friday of a 5-day work week for the first time in
No
years,
kidding.
so.
This 5-day work week business stinks, it's for the birds.
I woke up and made, I have to go to work all week.
Right.
What kind of deal is it?
That will cut down the amount of money spent if nobody shows up. Not really.
Mickey's advocating for a 3-day work week.
They just,
Oh, let's
everybody
go.
will just wanna,
I've been trying to get Matt to do 410s for forever, and we can't get him to do it.
You know, some of us are old-fashioned fuddy
We could have a rotating schedule, not the same days, we'd still be open, but
You know, my guys, Mickey's, they do the 4-day and it's kind of
During
a
the
joint
summer.
policy, but it's kind of an internal thing. They take a vote on what they want to
yeah.
strive towards, and they can't pass the 4-day. They want to keep the 5-day. I don't know why.
That motion
I don't know
continues
why
to
either.
fail year
Yeah,
after year.
yeah. I don't
I'll
know
go for
what
the 4
their
every time.
angle is, but
Mhm.
All right. Y'all let me know when you're
good.
good.
I'm good.
Oh, there's 2.
Jeff's good, he's been shaking his head for 5 minutes.
I'm good.
Well, when you send that out in like Wilmer too, you can look at it ahead of time and kind of see what, if anything, stands out to you.
Sometimes Jeff will come down the hall and go, "Now, Judge," and I go, "Oh." All right, any,
Well, I wanna be sure and invite everybody over to the hog show this afternoon.
Right.
It's gonna be a good one.
Starts at 1 o'clock, it'll be.
It's the thing to do on a Friday afternoon.
And then the premium sale tomorrow, if
Tomorrow
there's a
night.
kid you're interested in, as little as you want to contribute, you can actually scan in, something there and do an add-on to a particular
You
kid
can
in
add on
any
somebody
area.
that was in the show that didn't make premium sale.
That's right.
You can do all that, so support.
you're saying there are all sorts of ways
There are
for
all
people to
sorts of
give
ways.
money to.
That's
Give
exactly
money
right.
towards
It's
the
been a good, very good show.
premium sale, because that's the essence of it, is to raise money for the kids that.
You'll appreciate the quality kids when you go watch it.
Deacon did real good in his last one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, he did.
All right, it is, any other questions? All right, it's 11:22, the court is adjourned.